Hello, my name is Mario, and this is my flight planning and execution project from KVGT, that's North Las Vegas, to 67 Lima, Mesquite, Nevada. So the purpose and objective, so this project, we're going to explore the functionality and integration of the primary flight display, multi-function display, and associated controls with the Garmin G1000, and demonstrate proficiency in waypoint navigation, flight plan management, and the use of the moving map display. So in 4 parts here, familiarization with the G1000 navigation and its capabilities, planning, so we're going to build and navigate your route with the G1000, execution, actually flying the route, and reflection, so we're going to evaluate the performance and propose any improvements to the system. So for G1000 navigation familiarization, I've been in flight training for about 2 years now. So flying with the G1000 for 2 years, I've learned a lot about it, but you can always learn more. So we did study the cockpit reference guide for the Diamond DA40, along with all the other reference guides that we've done along this course. We're going to complete all the required training, review the FTA Systems Procedures Guide, and any kind of limitations and unique aspects of the system. So planning factors. Before we sit down and actually start planning our flight, we're going to go ahead and look at all the planning factors involved. Starting with NW craft. This is the most important part of any flight plan. This is your go, no go. So we're going to review NOTAMs, any kind of weather and forecasts, known traffic delays advised by ATC, runway lengths of intended use, so that's departing and arrival airports, alternatives available if the flight can't be completed, so other airports that we keep in mind, fuel requirements, and then we're going to calculate our takeoff and landing performance data. So when we go through that, we check all those boxes and make sure that we're good to go. Then we're going to go over the standard instrument departures, or an ODP, or a visual climb over the airport. In this case, North Las Vegas, we got a SID, that's the Northtown 5 departure. Then we go over to the low in route chart. This is where we start our planning, planning the actual route. So we're going to be looking at our MEAs, our MOCAs, our minimum reception altitude, minimum crossing altitudes, and our AROCAs. If we're ever routed off route, we need to know what altitude we need to be at when we're off our route. We're going to view any stars versus a no star. For this particular flight to 67 Lima, there's no star. Stars are usually, used for ATC to route traffic, and predictable routes get you lower and slower so that you could be dropped off at an initial a fixed point for an approach. And then we'll go ahead and review our instrument approach into 67 Lima. So here's our flight scenario: departure KVGT into 67 Lima. We're using a DA40 with Garmin G1000, and we're going to be doing an instrument flight simulated. So the scenario, it's KVGT to 67 Lima. It's a short flight. However, this flight does encompass every single element of a challenging IFR flight plan, including standard instrument departure, communication with Las Vegas departure, LA center, VLR navigation, and GPS, RNAV GPS approach with a hold in lieu of a procedure turn. There's a little picture here of the route that I planned, and we did plan that at 9,000 feet. That keeps us well above our MEA and any kind of obstacle clearance that we would need in that route. So our navigation route plan, so that's Northtown 5, standard instrument departure. Once we depart out of North Las Vegas, we fly 250 heading and rejoin that 313 radial outbound from the Las Vegas VOR. That's a north departure. At or below 5,000 feet. Once we get to our first fix, which is Rusco, 12 DME from North Las Vegas, return back inbound to the the Las Vegas VOR, that on the radial 320 inbound, and that's at or below 7,000 feet. So that'll be a 12 DME back to LAS. Once we get to LAS, rejoin Victor 394, continue our climb to 9,000 feet. That's 60 nautical miles to the Mormon Mesa VOR. Along that Victor 394, we'll maintain 9,000 feet to Jonot, which is our initial fix in that approach. So from Mormon Mesa, direct Jonot, and then we're going to be descending in that hold from 9,000 to 6,400. And that's 10.5 nautical miles in lieu of that PT. So we'll then fly the RNAV GPS into runway 2. Approach course is 023, and we'll be descending to our MDA, which is 2340. That's a 9 nautical mile final after the final approach fix. So this is me loading the flight plan right here. So I press flight plan, then procedure. I'll go ahead and put our destination in here, which is 67 Lima. So I was using a DA40NG with the NXI, so it's a little bit different than the XLS that I'm used to flying. So I've got 67 Lima in there. I'll go ahead and go over to procedure, load a departure, Northtown 5. We'll use runway 12 right, and I'll load that. Verify it's loaded. Then I'll go into an approach. So we're going to go the RNAV GPS runway 2. We'll use Jonot as our initial fix here. I'm not sure why I loaded the course reversal, but we're going to do that course reversal. And then load my baro minimums here. I believe the minimum there for the MDA is 2340. Went back and changed that. So you always want to make sure you verify that you're putting in the right baro minimums. Went ahead and loaded that. Then I'm going to go ahead and scroll down to 67 Lima and delete that because it's a duplicate waypoint. So you don't want to go from our route directly to 67 Lima. We want to follow that navigation for the RNAV GPS approach. Initial approach fix will be Jonot. Final approach, AppJ. And we're just going down here and make sure we verified everything. So we're going to use VOR navigation for our departure as a backup. We're going to fly this GPS, but we want to make sure that we got the 313 radial outbound, and then we're going to bug 250 heading once we leave that 120 heading for the 12s. And that's pretty much it, how you load the flight plan. So flight execution and documentation. So how did the GPS aid our navigation? So autopilot aided in holding altitude and direction. It gave me a mental rest, enabled me to monitor engine parameters and alleviate task saturation while briefing an approach. So impact on situational awareness. ADS-B traffic was definitely a big help. We're flying a simulated I-4 flight plan, so we did have to maintain visual separation from all traffic, and ADS-B traffic helps with that. Support for in-flight decision making. We also have ADS-B weather. Weather was no factor, but we were able to monitor anything. Summertime, we get a lot of buildup thunderstorms, so we were able to monitor if that ever did become a factor. So flight observation, the flight went exactly as planned, except we did not make it all the way to the LAS VOR. So Las Vegas departure vectored me off course. They gave me a 090 heading and told me to join Victor 394. So instead of going all the way south back down to the Harry Reid International Airport, where that VOR is located, I cut directly east across the valley, joined the 394. All I had to do was go into menu, activate leg 394, and then the G1000 sequenced me directly on and gave me navigational guidance directly to that 394 Victor Airway, and then as filed. So that was pretty easy to make that adjustment on the fly with the G1000. So some strengths observed here. Oh, let me go back real quick. So advantage one, waypoint sequencing and accuracy. I mean, that G1000, hones in on your waypoints and guides you directly to it. As long as you have an updated GPS database, you got you have no RAIM outages, and with WASP, we're able to fly those waypoints with accuracy. So the moving map situational awareness provides a lot. So we have ADS-B traffic, and we're able to see all the other traffic in the area. Advantage 3, ease of flight plan modification of flight. So when I was vectored off route, given a heading to fly 090, it was very easy just to go into the menu, activate that leg, and the GPS navigation directed me right to that Victor Airway with no issues. Fourth advantage is just integration with autopilot. And autopilot just kind of takes that workload off your plate. You're able to monitor engine parameters, any kind of traffic in the area, make adjustments, and then just kind of keep that mental load off so that when it comes time to shoot that approach, you're not exhausted from maintaining altitude and headings. So some key takeaways here. What the flight demonstrated about the G1000 proficiency, there's always something to learn. So constantly using that GPS database or GPS navigation, stay recent, build proficiency with it, is probably the best way to maintain proficient with that G1000. Most valuable capability of the G1000 is just precise navigation and situational awareness. That moving map display just tells you everything. Tells you where the terrain is at, where traffic is at, and weather. How will this experience in this flight help me with future flights? It's an easy flight profile to program and fly for future students. So in the 141 program for instrument students, we do IFR cross countries, and we'll actually file on this route. So this is something that I'll be using in the future with students. So hope you enjoyed that, and catch y'all later.